Mr. Reynolds, how are we?
Here he is. How you doing?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Doing all right. Just working this Instagram live out. Never done it.
Yeah, me and you both, mate. We look like we've got a good little audience here, so we're up to 30 today, so not too bad. No pressure.
No pressure.
I think we'll give it a couple of minutes, mate. Oh, well, a minute or so, and just allow people to join in and whatnot, and then we'll get cracking. But I was thinking, you had today off, haven't you? Not been training today?
Nah, no, we had today off, and then back in tomorrow. Got a 4 day lead up to Portland Timbers on Monday.
Ah, very good, very good.
Is it not
I,
raining in England?
No, it's actually nice weather today. We've been blessed, but no, I think we've got 32 live now, mate. So I think we'll just go ahead and get cracking. But everyone that's tuning in, my guest today is Danny Reynolds. Danny's just recently come on board with SRUSA. We're really excited. We're going to get into a bit about his college career. What he's doing now since he got drafted. But Danny, first of all, mate, we're going to start off a little bit before that. Do you want to just give people a bit of background on yourself, where you're from, where you started, and a bit about your youth career?
Yeah. So I'm from Oxford, England. Don't hold that against me. Started at Oxford United when I was younger, and then about 10 years old, I moved to Reading Football Club. Played in their academy up until I was 16, and then did my youth team scholar at Cheltenham Town. Really enjoyed my time there. Sat on the bench for the first team a few times. Unfortunately, didn't get offered a professional contract, which is fine because I took the route to go to America, like my brother and my sister. So, and now I'm here playing pro, and it's probably the best decision I've ever made.
Yeah, I wanna talk about that a little bit because it's unusual situation. So you've got two siblings and they both play as well, haven't they? So they both went down the college route. Is that right?
Yeah. So my brother went down the college route. Played NAIA for William Carey. Had a great career there. Was a two-time All-American, I think. 2 or 3 time. I'm not sure, to be honest.
Best get it
But
right, mate. I'll be
yeah,
phoning you up.
he's gonna be fuming if I only say 2 time. So yeah, I think he was a two-time All-American. So he
Sorry, mate. My wife. I'm not sure if it's mine or yours. So he's a two-time All-American. Did you say?
two-time All-American, and then my sister, she was at the College of Charleston, Division One, and she before that she was at Arsenal and Chelsea and in the youth teams of England growing up.
So a lot of pressure on your shoulders then when you hit that age. Was it obvious for you, Dan, when you you know, at 18 at Cheltenham, did you know you wanted to do this route, or did you sort of look into it later
Yeah,
on?
I'll be completely honest. I was going down the recruiting process even before I knew that I wasn't going to get offered a professional contract. It was always something that my brother and my sister, their experiences, they loved it, and it was
Hmm.
always something that I probably was going to do even if I did get offered a pro at Cheltenham, just because I don't, at that point in time, I don't think I was ready to be a professional footballer. I don't think I was ready to. I wasn't mature enough physically and mentally to be a professional footballer at that point. And I
Yeah.
always knew my brother, especially, he kind of guided me through it and just said that college is a great opportunity and there's a lot of misconceptions about college that the level's not very good. And I beg to differ. The lads that I played against, and now me being a pro, the level is very very good. So it definitely helped me grow as a person and a player.
Yeah, you skipped a few steps for me there because my next question was going to be, do you think you were ready at 18? But you've talked about a few of a few of the reasons there. What do you think is the biggest thing for players at 18 when, they're looking at potentially getting a professional contract? And what do you think that extra years of development allows you to achieve?
Well, I remember being told at 18 years old that I was good enough for a professional contract, and I kind of knew
Go ahead there.
I wasn't physically ready enough to step into League Two football at that point. And an 18-year-old, you have to be very, very talented and very, very stable to play League Two football and not make mistakes week in, week out. And at that point, I wasn't ready. So college was a great platform for me to kind of adapt and grow as a player before to adapt and grow as a player before really entering professional ranks, you know?
Yeah, definitely. So you talked about a few of the misconceptions there with college soccer, one being the level. What do you think is the biggest difference between football in England or soccer in England and then the game in the US?
I think there's a misconception that the US is very physical and known for its running, which is true. It's very true that there's a lot of fit players and you do run more. It's a much more endurance game than it is in England. But there are some technically talented players, especially in all levels across the NCAA and NAIA and stuff like that. So I think a huge misconception is that you're going to go to America and you're going to be technically the best player, but you may not be fit enough. But that's not the case. It's definitely not the case.
Yeah. So obviously you identify that the college route is something that you want to go down. At this point, you're speaking to a number of schools. Obviously, we'll talk about where you ended up, but how was the recruitment process for you in terms of speaking with coaches? Obviously, it was new to you at the time. What should people consider when they're looking at going down this route?
It was hard for me because I did it on my own. I didn't go through a recruiting agency at this point because I kind of, through my brother and my sister, we kind of knew how to go about it. All I would say is that probably didn't help me with some colleges, just because going through yourself, you don't have any credibility, and all they have is a video. And don't get me wrong, a video is very, very important, but it's also, if you're going through a recruiting agency that people trust, then the people can vouch for you as a player that have seen you play in person and talk to you on a regular basis. So I think that's important to think about when going through the recruiting process. Is some agencies are very, very good and very, very credible that coaches believe in that.
Definitely. So why Louisville? Why did you end up there? What was it that sort of caught your eye? There's obvious reasons here, but we'll go into a little bit of your decision making there if you don't mind.
So I'll be honest. Louisville, they're in NCAA Division I. They're ACC, which is the best conference in across America.
Arguably.
They're the best conference across America. But arguably, you're right. But yeah, the facilities there were absolutely incredible. So it catches your eye straight away. I mean, in the recruiting process, they're showing you games that they play, and they're playing against Kentucky, who are their rivals, and you're playing like among 7,500 people. So that's huge, especially when you're coming from youth development in England, where only your parents are watching. You know what I mean? So that's big. It's a professional environment, and they treat it professionally. And the coach said a lot of great things. He's a good guy, and yeah, that's why I chose Louisville to go there first. I think the main thing was how big of a school they are. I was on the biggest platform across America, really.
Yeah, because it's not always an easy decision, right? When you've not necessarily been out there, visited the school and things like that. So there's a lot of things to sort of consider. So we talk about that, obviously your youth days at Cheltenham, and now you've walked into the sort of the dressing room at Louisville. What are your first impressions? How did you get on at first? Just take us through your early days.
So, I mean, I remember my first time. Obviously, you walk in, and I hadn't met the coach yet. So that was a big first for me. I decided to up and move to America, 6,000 miles away, and I hadn't really met the coach in person. So that was also a big thing. And I remember my first experience. I walked into the locker room at the University of Louisville, and there's 3 levels to their locker room. It's absolutely incredible. Like there's they have everything. They have plasma TVs, absolutely everything. It's incredible. I remember thinking, I've gone from Cheltenham Town, who are a professional club, to now a university that aren't considered professional. They're amateurs, but the facilities here are 100 times better. You know, so I remember my first experience being that this is a real professional environment. So yeah, it was incredible.
In terms of the football aspect, did you start straight away in your freshman year? Did it take some time to? Yeah.
I started straight away. I tell you, the big thing that really did get me at the start of college was the heat and the humidity that you're not used to in England. So I remember my first game against the University of Alabama Birmingham, and I played 45 minutes. And I tell you, I was fit. I was running every day in England, but that heat, you have to be a different sort of fit for that heat. I remember playing the first 45 minutes, and we were changing at halftime. I remember thinking, thank God that we were only playing 45 minutes that game. But you get used to it, and across your years, you get used to it. But that's a big thing as well. Make sure that when you're in this process, make sure you're looking after your body too, because that's a huge thing. Especially if you want to come in and play, coaches need to know that you're ready.
Well, this is one of my questions, really. There's boys listening to this that are potentially going out there soon, or next year, or at least planning on going out to state. So what would your tips be, or your advice be for lads wanting to go in and play straight away? How can they prepare themselves in the best way, do you think?
They need to make sure that they're fit. That's a big thing, especially with the heat here. You need to make sure that you're ready to actually go in and play. Another thing is you need to really be honest with how you think you are as a player. I think a lot of kids get blinded that they want to go to the best university in the country, but you need to realize that there are thousands of recruits that try go to them universities, and then once you're in that university, you're playing against some of the best players in the country. So you need to really decide what level you think, and have your recruiting agency talk to you and decide what level you think is best for you to go in and play at that point, because it doesn't matter if you're going to the top university and you're not making the roster. You know, you're not making the bench and stuff like that. You're not going to have that much fun. You know, you're having your best time when you're playing soccer and you're happy. So I think that's a big thing to consider when coming out to the States.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a really valid point. So you talked about the competition there. You know, how did that compare to what you were used to at sort of youth level? Now going in and playing in, like you say, one of the best conferences in the US.
It was good. I was definitely ready for it. Cheltenham did a great job of maturing me as a player. But I mean, I remember going in and our starting right back, our captain at the time, his name's Tim Kubel, and he was the freshman of the year for the ACC the year before, and he played in the Borussia Dortmund academy. So it's just going from Cheltenham Town to then playing with the likes of lads that have played with Lewandowski and Royce, trained with them day in, day out. It's a little bit to get used to, and then you have a lot of US national team youth players that go into college, and they're great players for the academies, but then they can't adjust to college life. You know what I mean? They can't adjust to the college speed. So it's really good. The standard was really high.
At that level, how disciplined do you have to be in terms of not only in the football aspects, but obviously your studies as well? It's a really demanding sort of aspect, not only, you know, with the football, but your studies and keeping on top of that. So you just want to touch about how you made the adjustment from that point of view as well?
Yeah, I had a good, my parents always made me like well versed with keeping up to date with my academics. So I was very good with that. I knew that it was going to be an adjustment, and I had to pay attention. And I remember my first time I was in English class, and I was spelling the words wrong because they spell words differently here, and I was trying to tell them that the way I was writing them was correct and stuff like that. But no, you have to be up to date with it, because there's a lot of colleges that won't have you play if you're failing. They'll make sure that you're not playing and you're failing, because you're a student athlete when it comes down to it. And colleges, you're there for the main priority is to get your degree. So you have to make sure that you're keeping up to date with that, and then your success is being able to play on the soccer field. You know.
Yeah, a question we get asked all the time is what is the day in the life like of a college athlete, especially at that level as well. So do you want to just give people that are watching an idea of what your regular routine would be through the season?
Yeah, so through the season, well, obviously you have a really short preseason because they don't allow you to come in and train with the coaches before the season starts, because you have to be enrolled in classes whilst training with them, right? Mm-hmm. So you need to make sure you're ready to go in and start playing. And then a day in the life, it was a little bit different. At the University of Louisville, we would train in the morning, and we train from 8 to 10, and then we'd have all of our classes after that. And you'd probably be done by, there'd be days where you could have 2 classes and be done by 2, or there'd be days that you could have three or 4 classes and you'll be done by 5 or 6. You know, you're normally pretty free during the evenings unless you take a night class, where sometimes you have to. Mm-hmm. But then at the University of North Carolina, Wilmington, we would train at 2 p.m. every day. So they would make sure that our classes were normally in the morning. So we'd have morning classes. It would get us up, get ready, get us moving about. We'd do all of our academics, and then we could focus solely on football. And then at the end of that, some people would have classes, but it was very rare. And then you could kind of relax, recover, and do it all again, you know?
Yeah, I just want to talk about your transition there. Obviously, transferred over to UNCW. What was it about UNCW that you liked? We've talked about this off camera, and I know you've got a really unique perspective on this and some advice that you'd share with guys in sort of similar positions. Do you want to go ahead and talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. The main thing that I was looking for when I was transferring was that I had at the University of Louisville, you had the facilities, you had the gear, and you had everything that you possibly needed to succeed, and it was brilliant. Like you cannot go wrong with the facilities and stuff like that. The one thing that I was looking for when I transferred was to have a personal good relationship with my coach, and that's when UNCW came in. I had a good amount of interest from other schools, but UNCW was really the school that I kind of connected with the coach the most, Aidan Heaney, and that's why I decided UNCW was the thing. It really wasn't at that point the facilities for me. It was really enjoying my football and making sure that I have a coach that believed in me and shared the same vision for me in the future, which was going pro. And he had the connections to help that happen, and he also believed in me as a player and as a person. So that's why I decided to choose them.
Yeah, one of the questions we got asked to sort of ask you before this, when we put it out to the general public, was what should you be looking for when you're speaking to coaches, and is there a way you can make a good impression when communicating with them and assessing your options?
I think when you're communicating with them, coaches feed off your positivity and your confidence. So you need to make sure that you're being confident with them, and you need to make sure that you have answers for them, because indecisiveness doesn't show great character and stuff like that. So I think when you're in the recruiting process, you need to make sure that you know what you want, and you need to make sure that the coaches know what you want too. And when you're going through it, I think having a good relationship with your coach really, really helps, especially in the when you decide to go to that college, because that coach knows what you need. The coach understands you as a person, and then you have your teammates and you have your coaches, and if you have them too, and you like both of them, then it doesn't matter what facility you're in across the country. You know, it doesn't matter what level you're playing at. You're going to enjoy your time, and you're going to be enjoying your football. So I think that's a big key.
Yeah, and one thing I want to talk about, you utilised each summer, right, to play out in the summer league, in the PDL and whatnot. How important do you think it is for players looking to reach that sort of professional level that they look to take advantage of opportunities such as, the USL2 now, MPSL, those sort of opportunities? And how big a role did it play in your sort of experience, do you think?
Yeah, it was a great opportunity. I mean, I spent my first 2 summers I spent with Chattanooga FC, who were in the NPSL, and Chattanooga. It was brilliant. There was a lot of older players, so I mean, I played with my brother on that team 1 year. So
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was great to play with him. I taught him how to play football again and stuff like that. But no, so it was great. We had an older bunch of players, so you get to learn a lot from the experience that they have.
And just on that, Dan, for those that are not familiar with the summer league, do you want to just give a background about it being separate to the college season and when it takes place and that sort of thing as well?
Yeah, so obviously it takes place across the summer. You can play in a variety of leagues. There's the PDL, or the PDL's turned into the USL League 2 now. So that involves teams such as Houston Dynamo U23s, which is a great option. I played with Houston Dynamo U23s going into my senior year, which was brilliant because you get to go out to Houston, you train with their coaches, you get seen by their general managers and stuff like that. Really, if you want to go pro, that's the best place. They're the best places to do it. You know, you're in the environment. They get to know you on a personal basis, and that was really big for me for my senior year because Houston knew what type of player I was in the upcoming draft. You know,
yeah.
So it was good to know that they knew me instead of knowing my highlights or knowing my stats. They knew me as a person and as a player. You know.
Yeah, definitely. No, what I was
yeah.
just going to say there, I'm a player that never really took up the opportunity to play in the summer league, and it's something that one of the only things that I regret about my experience in the US is that I didn't. And I think just again for people that aren't familiar with it, the best players generally from college, I don't think I'm wrong in saying that, generally transition into the summer league. They get interest throughout the season, but it is separate to the college season. It's nothing to do. You could be going to college in North Carolina and end up playing in Houston like we talked about there, so it's completely separate. But your college coach can also play a big role in that as well. That, like you said, Dan, having connections from your coach's point of view is a real help as well, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm a testament to that. I remember Aiden Heaney picked up the phone and said, like we've got a couple of players that from UNCW that could do a bit for Houston Dynamo, and me and I went out there. A couple of my teammates went out there, and we enjoyed our time there. I mean, your coach is a huge part of it. I remember I went out to Real Salt Lake and trained with Real Salt Lake for a week just because of my coach's connections. You know, I trained with San Antonio in the USL just because of my coach. So it's really important that your coach knows a lot of people. They've been through they're in the industry and they've been there a while, you know, so it's great to have a good connection, like I said, with the coach, because the coach can also open up doors for you in summer league if you want to go and play there.
Yeah, definitely. So I just want to go back to your college career a little bit and talk about those last 2 years then at UNCW. Do you feel like your game went up a level in those last 2 years? And what did you learn, would you say, in your junior and more particularly your senior year, that you wish you knew going into your freshman year, do you think?
I think it wasn't more so that my level went up. It was more so the style of play that UNCW played allowed me to kind of show my best attributes, you know? I mean, I like crossing the ball and I like going forward as a fullback. So I think we played a style that really fit the way that I play, the way that I like to play, you know? And we had good strikers and we had good centre-backs that could deal with me running up the field and not coming back, you know. So, but no, it was good. I think I learned my junior and senior year to become more of a leader. I mean, and I think that's as the transition through the years goes, you get more authority within the team, and I think I thrived off that, becoming a leader and making sure that things were going well, and we had a good senior class. I mean, my senior class, three of us went pro, and probably 6 of us could have. You know what I mean? So we had a really good senior class, and I think the younger lads strived off us being such a strong class. You know?
Yeah, being a leader doesn't come easy at the college level because it often means reining in the younger guys.
Yeah,
going to bed a little bit earlier. You know, being the last at training, that sort of thing. So I can relate to that a little bit. And yeah, like you say, those years of experience there, when you come in as a freshman, I think it definitely helps you with that when you've got a strong senior class, right? People that are there to help and guide you. Because although everyone wants to reach that next level, you're all there to. If you do well as a team, you're going to do well individually, right? So that's
exactly. That's what my coach said as well, especially heading into our senior year. We knew a lot of our senior class were looking to go pro and had the ability to go pro. But the coach Aidan Heaney, he said it really well, that there's going to be no personal success if there's no team success. So at that point in our career, we needed to make sure that the team comes first, and we'll reap the rewards after it. You know, so we made sure that we did well as a team, and we ended up winning our regular season, which was great. And we lost in the final to James Madison of the conference championship, but we did enough as a team, and we did well enough as a team to warrant us having our own personal success.
Yeah, definitely. So now I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, mate, with a few difficult questions, should I say. So my first one is going to be, what sticks out the most as your most memorable college soccer moment?
Oh, most memorable college soccer moment.
It's a difficult question because there's quite a lot to choose from.
Yeah, probably the Sweet 16. I was playing for the University of Louisville at the time. The Sweet 16 where I crossed the ball in for Tate Schmidt, who now plays for Real Salt Lake, and he scored an overtime winner in the Sweet 16 to send us through to the Elite Eight. Elite Eight. So that was good because we were playing UCLA, and they were a team. I think half of their players now have gone pro. You know, so that was a brilliant moment. But also, I don't think you can get away from the fact that when we won the regular season with UNCW, because we knew how good of a team we were, and it was a testament to kind of our character and our mindset that we went the whole season unbeaten through the regular season, and it was just reaping the rewards from our hard work.
Yeah, overtime winners are fantastic, like scenes everywhere. But the fact is, winning a conference over a number of games requires discipline, not only in the moment, but over a sustained period of time, which is not easy. But that's not a bad couple of examples there, Dan. I'll give you that. So, I was going to say who played the biggest role, but you can maybe choose more than one person in this. But who do you think has had the biggest role in your collegiate career from an influence point of view, whether it's players you played with, coaches you played under?
I think you can never give enough credit to the players that you play with. They have an impact in your career, because without them I wouldn't have been drafted, you know. But I think the main person that I can give credit to for my collegiate career is Aidan Heaney, the head coach at UNCW, and Sean Utterson, who's the assistant coach. They instilled a confidence in me and gave me a lot of leadership roles to where I could really flourish, and they also backed me to professional organizations such as Seattle, to where they drafted me, you know, so I can't give them enough credit.
Yeah, definitely. So one of my questions again is going to be, was there a defining moment in your college career where you thought, I've hit this point now, I'm good enough to reach the next level, or was it just a sustained amount of work over time that led to it, do you think?
I think throughout the years you grow as a person, and maybe not grow as a player technically as much as you think you do, but you grow in your mind so much that you're ready for that next step. So I remember going into my senior year thinking, if I have a good year here, I know that I'm going to be ready for that next step. So I think it's more so an accumulation of years, an accumulation of experience throughout the years that really gets you ready for that next step.
Definitely. Now, this is something that's really interesting to me, and I'm sure you've got a great story here, but let's talk about you actually getting drafted in the moment when that happens, right? Do you want to talk us through a little bit about the weekend leading up to that, your feelings going into it, and that side of things?
So we at the end of the college season, when you're no longer considered an amateur, you get approached by a couple of combines or get approached by a couple of teams. So for example, Atlanta United came out and invited me to a mini combine that they were hosting for some of their players that they believe were good players, you know. So I remember going to the Atlanta United combine, And then there was the Las Vegas Combine where we flew out to Las Vegas, and teams such as Seattle and Columbus Crew, LA Galaxy, Houston Dynamo were all there just to watch games of the top college soccer players throughout the country, right? So I went there with a couple of my teammates, Mark Lindstrom and Phil Goodrum.
I think Mark's in this.
Who are
in
both
this
playing
chat
pro.
as well.
Yeah, he keeps waving at us. So hello, Mark. Anyway, so yeah, I went there with them, and I had a good weekend. And then the leading up to it, you kind of have an idea of who's really like looking at you to get drafted, and then the day of we were just watching the live stream, and I was at home with my family, and it goes, there's pick by pick, and you're just waiting for your name. And then I remember,
and you don't know what number you are or anything like that.
You don't know what number you're going to be, because like you can say oh, so and so was interested in you, but they picked somebody else, and then you're like, well, who else is where's my next pick? Where do I think that I'm going to go next? Yeah. So I had a good idea that Seattle were pretty interested. So we were at the second pick, second round, and 35th pick overall. And before the pick actually came in on my live stream, Seattle had called me, or UNCW head coach had called me saying congratulations. So I'm like, what do you mean congratulations? You know? And then it came in, and obviously my family were buzzing. I was screaming and all of that. So yeah, it was a good time. And then I got a call from Garth Lagerway, who's the GM at Seattle Sounders, congratulating me, and it was just a great experience. But I mean, it was so good. But they were like, well, we've got preseason coming in tomorrow, so we're going to fly you out tomorrow.
Really?
So I had to pack and get ready, and I flew out the next day at 5 a.m. and I was in Seattle at that point, training with the first team. I remember walking into the locker room and seeing like Nico Ladero and people like that, and I was thinking, wow.
But that's how quickly your life can change, right? One minute you're sat in the front room with your living room with your family, and the next minute you're on a plane and you're training. That's just surreal to think about, right?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was a crazy few weeks, especially because I got into preseason, and we had 4 days. The first training session was snowing, and I was just like, well, welcome to Seattle. And then 4 days later, we were on a plane heading to Long Beach for preseason, Long Beach, California. So we spent 2 weeks at Long Beach, and we played like the likes of Peñarol, the Uruguayan champions and stuff like that. And Diego Forlan was their head coach, and I'm thinking, this is definitely a change, you know.
Do you know when you're at that stage, then do you get a chance to sort of soak it all in, or is it a case of it just comes that thick and fast that it's just day to day sort of thing?
It came that thick and fast that the time that I really got to soak it all in was probably after the Long Beach trip. I kind of sat down and was like, that really just happened. Like, it was so fast. You don't really get to think about it during that time, you know. So it was definitely a cool experience to look back on, you know.
And one of the questions a lot of people will ask.
Josh Atencio just messaged us. he's just signed a homegrown deal with Seattle. So
congratulations, Josh.
Good for him.
One of the questions you're bound to get asked, Dan, is like, what is the step up like? Is it a big gap? Is it something that's achievable, like between the college and the professional level?
It's definitely a big gap. You've got players that have played in World Cups, and you're training with them now. So it's definitely the speed. I remember the rondos being a lot quicker, but once you're in that, you're able to adapt and get used to the speed of play, or hope you get used to the speed of play. And then so it's just really a learning experience, you know.
And what's next for you now, Dan? Like you're in playing in the USL 2 at the minute. What is the plan for you from here on out?
The plan is obviously to get an MLS deal and do well enough in Seattle's second team to kind of warrant me getting signed by their first team, you know. But it's also good being in their second team because you're always so close to the first team, so everybody knows how well you're doing and stuff like that. So it's just a case of working hard and seeing where it gets you, you know.
Yeah. So, guys, if you are listening in now and you're watching, you want to ask Danny any questions in this, start popping them in now because we're getting to that time where we'll start asking him a few. I'm sure a few blinders will come your way, Dan, so get prepared.
Yeah,
But
can't wait.
we'll sort of finish up, mate. We're talking about, obviously, you come on board at SRUSA now.
Yeah.
Talk us through that sort of decision and what you're looking forward to sort of doing in your new role.
I mean, I remember our first chat. I was always skeptical because there's a lot of recruiting agencies out there that don't have the client's best interests at heart. So I was definitely very skeptical at first, but after having conversations with you and other people within the organization, I knew that the agency has the best interests of their clients, and I wanted to be a part of that, especially knowing how much like joy I've had from college soccer and being a part of that. I want to be able to help people, enjoy their role and help them through the process, because it's definitely a tough process if you don't know about it. So, and I feel like I have a good amount of experience, and the amount of people that we have on SRUSA that have got abundance of like experience within every level across college soccer, it's unbelievable. So I definitely want to help out with that.
Yeah, fantastic, mate. And I suppose we've touched on this throughout, but sort of rounding it up for players that are playing in college now, players that will go on to play in college, what advice would you share for them to get the most out of the experience? And we're not just talking from a soccer point of view, but from the whole experience point of view, because like you said, you had such a positive experience there at college, and how do you think others can replicate that?
I think you just need to take the opportunities that are given to you. There's so much more to college in America than soccer. You get to meet so many people. There's so many student athletes across the athletic departments, like golf teams that have got Europeans, and you meet people from Brazil. Like last year, my goalkeeper was from Paraguay and played in the World Cup with Paraguay. So it's crazy. You just need to take into account like the experiences, because you're never going to get that anywhere else. You meet so many new people, and you get so many experiences, whether that be through leadership groups in the athletic department, or just meeting people that you'll never get anywhere else. So you need to make sure that you take all of it in while you can, because you will miss it. Like I miss it now. I miss having banter with my teammates and stuff, because now obviously it's a job. So I need to make sure that you need to make sure that you're really taking it seriously and stuff. But with college, you obviously take it seriously, but you have so much fun with it as well. So yeah, it's definitely a great experience.
Definitely. So one of the questions here: would you consider coming back to England to play?
Cheers. I would consider it. It would have to be a really good opportunity. I've got a girlfriend in the States as well, and I think she probably likes the States a little bit better because of the weather. But yeah, I would definitely consider it if the opportunity arose.
Yeah. And Carlos has asked if you could give a piece of advice to a freshman Danny, so yourself going through the experience, what would you tell yourself in that particular instant as a freshman?
I'd make sure that you're ready to go in and play. Make sure that you're technically and physically sound, and also just make sure that you're open to criticism and like constructive criticism. You're not the finished article when you're a freshman. So you need to, and there's a lot of people that have been throughout, and college soccer is very different. It's a very high-paced game. So you need people to teach you need to learn the ropes, so make sure that you're open to constructive criticism and stuff like that.
Yeah, and here's my 2 cents as well. Enjoy yourself, because it goes in a flash. 4 years goes so quickly.
Yeah.
And I think one of the big things, Dan, and it's a question that gets asked frequently, is the spring season and the structure of the season over there, with it only being competitive for the fall season and spring being a bit more relaxed with that. But I think the people that make the most out of the spring are the people that develop the most over the 4 years, right, in terms of building yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit in terms of your experiences in the spring and what you would do?
Yeah, I mean the spring season, you can only touch the ball for so long until a certain point. but you still play a few games during the season, the spring season. They're exhibition games. But for example, I remember playing at the University of Louisville, and we played against Louisville City in the US. They're in the USL. They're a professional side. We played them at the stadium and got a lot of fans and stuff like that. And it's a great experience because you're playing against professional players, and you learn a lot from that. And I mean, at UNCW, we played against North Carolina Football Club in the spring. So you're playing against professional. If you get the chance, you're playing against professional teams. But there's also a lot to be said about in the weight room. You really develop as a player off the field as well. You know, you're making sure that you're keeping up with your academics and stuff like that, and it really does help. And you get to have a lot of fun along the way. You know.
Yeah. And we'll get into a couple more of the questions in a sec. But one of the questions that I always ask players in your position is, what do all the best players that you play with, including yourself, what do you think they have in common that allows them to reach that next level?
I think a lot of players that I've played with that have reached that next level don't dwell on mistakes. I think there's a lot of people that make a mistake and they let it turn into 1, 2, 3, like 3 more. And I think the best players that I've played with, they really just have like a 6-second memory. You know, it happens. They make the mistake, but they're on to the next play. You know what I mean? So I think you can't be so critical of yourself. You just need to really take it as a learning opportunity, and hopefully don't let it happen again. You know?
Yeah, definitely. We've touched on this one a little bit, but how much does fitness come into play in college soccer? How much time do you get to prepare before you start playing?
Fitness is a lot. Yeah, I've said that you have to be fit to come in and play. You know, there's some brilliant players that I've played with across my time in college. They're brilliant, but they're not fit enough, so they're not getting enough time on the field. You have to be fit to play. Like, soccer is such an endurance-based sport that you need to have it. You know what I mean? So and you have a lot of time on your own to prepare before you start playing, but you only have a little amount of time in pre-season to really get yourself where you want to be. So you need to make sure that you're taking time in the summer, playing games like you can in summer league and stuff like that, to get you ready for the full season, because the full season comes fast and there's a lot of games during it. So you need to make sure that you're ready before that.
Definitely. Well, Dan, I think that's been really, really useful. I know some people have commented that they've took a lot from this. So I just want to say thank you ever so much for giving up your time. You know, everyone has their individual journeys and stuff like that. But I think if people break this down and sort of really listen to what you're saying there, they can get a real head start on success in the States and going through the college system. But I'm sure you're open and knowing what you like. I know you'll be open to people asking for advice and things like that. Yeah. So where can people find you if they want to have any questions after this?
On my Instagram, and my Instagram DMs are always open. And
what's your tag?
My tag, Danny Reynolds, with 3 N's. You can get it on the sports recruiting website. You'll put it up for me.
Yeah, I will do. We'll tag it.
Yeah, I'm open with that, and I'm looking forward to seeing what people have to say and any questions they have.
Perfect, guys. Well, listen, we appreciate everyone that's tuned in through this. If you have got any questions and you want to fire them Danny's way or my way, you can get in touch with us. We'll put Instagram captions and stuff in the caption to this video. But we hope you enjoyed it. And Dan, thanks again, mate.
Cheers, mate. See ya.
See you later. Ta-ra, bye.